spoiling the movie, tell me, what did you think about it? I loved it, by the way.
What's up everybody, I'm Rick.
And I'm Anna, and welcome to our review of the 1935 movie, The Informer. This channel is dedicated to Rick and mine bucket list of 101 goals and dreams that we hope to accomplish in our lifetime. And one of those goals for us is to watch every movie that was nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards from 1927 to 2028. That is 101 years of Academy Awards Best Picture nominees and their respective winners.
It's a lot of movies.
Currently, we are at the year 1935, and to this day we have watched 59 movies as part of this goal, and we have discussed one movie that is not available to us because it's at UCLA, and one lost movie.
Yeah, still lost. Looked for it.
And if you're not familiar with it yet, the way these reviews are going is that the first part is a spoiler-free part, in which we give our impressions and top-level appreciation about the movie. And the second part is a spoiler-filled part in which we discuss certain scenes and elements of the movie that piqued our interest while spoiling the story. However, don't worry if you don't want to get spoiled, we will warn you before we get to the spoiler-filled part, at which point you can head to the description box below, click on the timestamp that will take you directly to the end of this video where we do the ranking.
Yes.
So every year we rank all the nominated movies, Best Picture nominated movies, according to our liking and preferences, obviously. But before we do all of that, Rick?
Yeah?
Let us see some information about this movie.
Okay, tell me. Give me some info.
The 1935 movie The Informer is a dramatic film released by RKO. It came out on May 9th, 1935. And it is based on the 1925 novel with the same name, written by Liam O'Flaherty. The movie was directed by John Ford, whom we've heard of before because he's also the director of Aerosmith.
Oh.
And it stars Victor McLagan as Jeepo Nolan, Presto Foster as Dan Gallagher, whom we've seen before in the movie I'm a Fugitive from a Chain Gang. He was playing Pete. Margot Graham as Katie Madden, Wallace Ford as Frankie McPhillip, and Una O'Connor as Mrs. McPhillip, whom we've also seen before in two previous movies that we've watched for this goal, Cavalcade and The Barretts of Wimpole Street. The movie was a great success. It had 6 Academy Award nominations.
Oh.
So first of all, it was nominated for Best Picture, or as it was known back then, Outstanding Production, which is why we've watched it and we are reviewing it right now. Also nominated for Best Film Editing for George Hively, Best Music Score for Max Steiner, which it also won, Best Writing Screenplay for Dudley Nicholas, which it also won, Best Director for John Ford, which it also won, and Best Actor in a Leading Role for Victor McLaglen, which it also won. So it won 4 Academy Awards.
Impressive.
Quite impressive, right? It received glowing reviews all around from the critics after its premiere, being named a memorable picture and a superb material for the screen, among other praises that it got. However, surprisingly, initially, the movie did very poorly at the box office. So the company decided to re-release it after it received the awards, the Academy Awards, and that's when it became more popular and made a lot more money. In the end, it was a big financial success.
That's a common tactic these days.
Oh, is it? I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, once they get nominated, a lot of movies go back to the theaters.
Okay, well, they were doing it back then too. And it worked for this movie. As for some more interesting information about the movie, so in 1944, 9 years after its initial release, it was made into a radio play where the main actor played his role again. Also, apparently, Dudley Nicholas, the writer of the script, wrote the script in 6 days.
Oh.
Which I don't know how long it normally takes to write the script of a movie, but
that seems short.
6 days seems really short.
No sleep.
You're right. And hey, he got an Academy Award for it. So, not only that, but also the whole movie was shot in 17 days. Which,
quite fast, yeah.
yeah, again, I don't know how long it normally takes to shoot a movie, but 17 days seems short. So that is it for the information that I have about the movie right now. I have some more information later on. For now, let us move on to our spoiler-free discussion.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. So Rick, without spoiling the movie, tell me, what did you think about it? I loved it, by the way.
Without spoiling it, very interesting movie, very good. It really stands out, in my opinion, when thinking of a lot of movies we've watched. This one has a personality. You know?
Oh, yeah.
This one, you remember it for what it is, because it's not like the other movies that we've been watching for like since 1927. So like we've watched a lot of movies, almost 60. And then this one stands out, like definitely as a movie, you know, who had a story to tell and it told it in a way that feels unique.
Yeah, that is true. I completely agree. And, you know, to pick on a little bit on what you said, storytelling. I loved the storytelling techniques in the movie. I feel like for a big part of the movie, especially the first half, there really isn't that much dialogue. But you get
at first I was
a lot of
thinking, wait, is it a silent movie? Did we get the wrong movie? But no, there is...
there is, in the very beginning of the movie,
Yeah.
there's very little dialogue. There's a lot of just like background sounds and stuff like this.
music.
And I feel like the storytelling technique, compared to other movies that we've seen before for this goal, it feels like something, you know, modern. You know, I can't say it feels modern today because it doesn't really, but I feel like back then it would have felt like that.
It's an interesting take. I can't really say what would have felt modern back then or not without being in their shoes, but it definitely stands out as something different.
Yeah. So we were talking about the story and like the storytelling specifically. I particularly like the way they use like repetitive imagery to kind of make you feel like you're in the mind of the character.
Yeah, give you a mood of like what he's feeling right now, use of like repetitive imagery, but a lot of like surrounding set element, you know, posters on walls and things like that. And the way they're different throughout the movie kind of tells the story too, you know.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Also, I feel like close-up shots of the character, the actors, you can definitely, like you said, read their mind on their face. I feel, and that's a big, applaud for the actors who did a great job, especially the main actor, but I feel like all the other actors involved.
Yeah.
In the story, like more involved in the story, did a great job at really portraying their characters' feelings and emotions.
And this is, in a lot of ways, really a character story. You know, we're focusing on this one guy and his journey through this one evening, one night, and like it's really a huge focus on how he feels, what's happening with him, and the impact that his action have on people around him. Very interesting.
I feel like this movie was like a brave attempt and success, in my opinion, at giving us, the viewers, an insight into the psychology of a character without him saying what he thinks.
It's a lot of show don't tell, which is always what you want with a movie. You know, he's not sitting here like, okay, let me monologue about how I feel. No, you can see how he feels.
Exactly.
And how that evolves throughout the movie.
I specifically want to give a big round of applause to the main actor. Big round of applause. He was terrific, in my opinion. What do you think about that?
No, I really think he did a great job. Again, like I was saying, you can see his state of mind throughout the movie without him having to, you know, openly say it.
Right.
And so that takes a lot of acting skills, not just in terms of like the dialogue also showcase that, and the set design and everything, but also the acting skills. Like on his face, you can see how he feels. The way he acts, you can see how he feels. He spends a lot of the movie like kind of switching moods.
Right. exactly.
That's very interesting. Yeah.
And like that feeling of distress and, confusion or whatever else.
Yeah.
You can definitely sense it coming from him. So I think this is a good moment for me to drop the last piece of information that I had about the movie, which is specifically about the performance of the main actor, the leading actor. So apparently the director kept the leading actor, Victor, in this like state of like being off balance, being, like you said, moody and, switching mindsets and all of that through a very interesting technique by getting him drunk.
Oh.
So not only that, but also he would frequently change his schedule, his filming schedule last minute, and he would also verbally abuse him before starting the shots for him being late, for him not being ready in time, stuff like this. So that...
Is that on purpose or...?
Yes, the director was doing this on purpose. By the end of the movie, the actor threatened to quit acting for good because this filming this movie took a significant toll on his psychology. However, he didn't quit. He actually went on to win 4 more Oscars in his career. So
hopefully not as hard as this one.
Hopefully not.
He got him drunk on purpose and then scream at him for being late and being unruly. But like you got him drunk.
I mean, yes, but he needed the actor to be in that state.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, what kind of techniques they were using back then.
Oh,
that would not pass today.
Oh, wow.
So we mentioned a little bit the storytelling techniques, but I want to accentuate a little bit more one element in the movie that I really liked, which was the combination of the sounds with the scenery, while we were saying the action, right? Which I think was like so carefully and meticulously planned, especially for the parts where there was no dialogue for like extended period of time, using a lot of background sounds, but all, like louder, like accentuated. And I'm actually surprised that it didn't even get a nomination for like cinematography or something else.
Beyond the sound design, like with the sound effects, the score itself, you know, for those extended period of time where there was no dialogue, but even afterward, the score is kind of its own character, you know, the music. That's why I thought at the very beginning, for the first few minutes when nobody's talking and there's just the music, I thought, oh, is it a silent movie? Because it kind of sets the tone. It kind of feels like the music is telling you the story too, you know. Yeah,
that is true. So I particularly like that. So I guess that would be it for our spoiler-free discussion. Is there anything else in particular that you'd like to make mention of?
No.
So would you recommend this movie?
Yes, I would recommend it.
I definitely would recommend it too. It's a good movie to watch. It's very interesting. It's captivating. Good story too. Mm-hmm. Right. So go watch it. So for those of you who don't want to get spoiled in the second part of this review, don't forget you can head to the timestamp in the description box below. That will take you directly to the ranking section of this video. And for those of you who have either watched the movie or don't mind getting spoiled, let us move on to the spoiler-filled section.
Spoiler.
I will start this section the way we always do. I will give you a short synopsis of the movie. In 1922, an Irish rebel informs on his friend, then feels doom closing in.
Pretty short synopsis. But
but it's a good one. It outlines exactly what the movie is about. So I would like to start this section by discussing about the opening scene of the movie, in which the main character, Gippo, is roaming the streets of Dublin in the night by himself, obviously being like thoughtful. You can feel the heaviness of his character. And as we were saying, they were using, especially in this opening scene, this like storytelling technique of like showing us elements, repetitive elements that set the mood, that set the tone for what is like to come.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
I'm gonna go back even further than that in terms of like setting the mood at the beginning of the movie to before we even see any imagery from the actors or the set, there's a title screen with a Bible quote about Judas.
Yes.
And that, in my opinion, really sets the mood. Because when you read it and you think back on the movie, like, this is that story of betrayal from Judas, who then feels guilty after getting his silver. And then the exact same thing happens to our main character.
Right.
And so that sets the tone totally, because you read that quote and then you see him walking through the street, looking at that poster of his friend who's worth 20 pounds, has a bounty on his head, and you think right away, like, oh, this is where we're going.
You can tell right away what the story is gonna be about. Really, the story isn't that long or even like that much developed. It happens in like one afternoon and one night, the whole story of the movie. And really, this is the only important element story-wise, is that he informs on his friend.
Yeah.
But then everything else that revolves around it, like how other characters are affected by it, what's the mental toll on the main character, that's the actual story of the movie. Like, that's the focus. So that is very interesting. And yeah, you're right. Like, you can tell right away that this is the central element, like the first domino that falls, that like lets the rest of the story unfold.
Yeah, because you get that quote and then you get him looking at the poster of his friend, and then right away or a few minutes later, his girlfriend who's in the street looking at tickets to America, £10 each, and think, oh, the things we could do if we had 20
pounds, yes.
And then like everything clicks right away. With that you have motivation.
Yeah.
You have your storyline, your synopsis, like really set in stone for
right. With really very little words.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the use of repetitive imagery. So the main character actually goes back to that poster several times throughout the movie. Even when the poster is gone, because at some point he rips it off, he passes by that wall again and he remembers, like he sees the poster there. So I thought, in the very beginning, it's a bit on the nose. Like, we got it. You saw the poster and then he talks to the girlfriend, then he goes back to see the poster. And I was thinking, like, is that really necessary to show it so many times? But I feel like it's not about showing it again. It's not as if we don't get it. It's because his character goes through this motion, like he sees it the first time, but then he talks to his girlfriend, then he sees the second time. You can see him literally descending into that idea of, I have to do
that
this.
That poster has a new meaning now, like he sees it the first time, then my friend is in trouble. Sees it the second time, oh well, this might be my
ticket out
of trouble. Yeah. And then we see it later in the movie when it's being burned by some of the member of the organization that he used to belong to, and after the friend has been informed on and killed because of Jippo, and they burn the poster and he looks at it being burned. There's also an element there, and then he goes back at the end to the wall and there's no poster, obviously.
Yeah. So I thought that was very interesting, that it doesn't feel redundant at all. As you watch it, you realize that no, this is how you understand what the character is feeling actually. So I thought it was very well done. Another important large section of the movie, actually the second half of the movie, after Jippo gets his money, after informing on his friend gets killed, he knows that. He gets his money and then he goes on and blows it all away. Pretty much all of it.
Yeah.
What did you think of that whole idea?
I think that, this is really where they showcase the character's psyche, even if some of it might be subconscious for him, because at the end, when he gives the rest of the money that he has left to his girlfriend, it's like, oh, here's the £20,
Yeah.
He doesn't even realize
he actually spent most of it.
But he's drunk, so he starts spending it. But what's interesting to look at is how he spends it.
Yeah.
This money that has been gained by informing on his friend and his friend getting killed, so it's been gained in
it's like blood money.
In a bad way, exactly. He uses it to give to people. He doesn't use it on himself.
Yeah.
Even
Even when it's the alcohol that he buys alcohol for everyone.
For everybody, yeah.
He
Buys
gives the
food
money
for
to a
everybody.
girl who needs to get back to London and she can't afford it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and you see that a lot of people take advantage of that throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Like, how he's rich and he's drunk, he doesn't know what he's doing. But really, that's his intention. He's giving, well, again, unconsciously, because he's totally drunk. But he's giving the money away to people who are in need, rather than using it for the original goal, which was to help himself
and his girlfriend.
That tells on the guilt. The guilt
Yeah.
element is showcased here, because using it to get to America like he intended to at first, I feel like his guilt would be
even stronger.
More, yeah.
One other thing that I thought was very interesting is that you feel like that's, if the first part of the movie where he's just like thinking about, doing the deed, informing on his friend, you see him kind of descending into that mindset of desperation and of, oh, I have to do this, like, this is my only chance, of I have to help my girlfriend, something like this. And the second half, in which, like, after he got his money, there's a perfect continuation in which he just descends more and more into his head, literally. He feels trapped in his mind,
Yeah.
And it feels like there's a continuation from the point where he starts, where he's just, in need of money, to the point where he's in need of forgiveness.
Mm-hmm. There's something you just said here. I need the money to have my girlfriend, and I've made mention of it too. And they make mention of it a lot in the movie. Even the girlfriend at the end, she's like, "Oh, he did it for me." And what I think is also interesting is that you can kind of question that too. Sure, she brought the idea that if they had £20, they could leave and go to America.
Yeah.
And so you could say, "Oh, he did it for her," but also he had just been kicked out of the IRA, an organization which his friend belonged to. He felt like he had nothing left. So in a way, he also does it for him, and he also does it in a roundabout way to get back at them. Maybe not in that
maybe
sense.
not consciously,
exactly,
but he feels like he himself maybe has been abandoned
it's
by.
been wronged, yeah.
Yeah, because in the movie, I don't know if they mention it that clearly. They do mention it in the beginning that he's actually been kicked out of the organization because he refused to kill an enemy of theirs. He feels like he's been betrayed, like, oh, because I don't want to kill someone, you kick me out, so then why should I have any loyalty towards you?
It's never overt like that. I don't mean to say that like it's like, F the organization, I'm gonna go betray them. But like somewhere in the back of his mind, it's easier to go inform now that you feel like they've wronged you, that you feel like you don't belong to that organization anymore.
They don't make mention of it, but you can kind of feel that that's how it is.
And also, like, he has nothing left because now the IRA thinks that he's no good, and then the Black and Tan or the other groups think that he's with the IRA.
Right?
And so he's caught in between with nothing left for himself.
Yeah.
And so it's to help the girlfriend. It's also to help himself.
Yeah. I wanted to quickly also touch on the ending scene of the movie, in which he gets accused by the IRA. In the end, they figure out that he's the one who informed on his friend. They have like a trial for him of some sort.
Yeah.
And in the end, they decide to eliminate him, but he escapes. There's like a chase happening. He does get shot, and he ends up dying in a church.
Yeah, after being pardoned by
the mother of his friend. So I thought that was also very interesting, especially that part at the end where he's in the church. He had been shot, and the last thing he does is he begs for forgiveness from the mother of the friend whom he had betrayed. Yeah.
But here I'm going to go back to my thoughts that I was bringing previously, which is it's about his guilt again here. The last thing he does, you say, is beg for forgiveness. No, the last thing he does is scream at his friend in heaven.
Oh, that is true.
Your mom forgave me now,
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm absolved of any wrong now because your mom forgave me. You're going to forgive me, right? I'm coming, right? We're going to be fine.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about it specifically in that way, but that is very interesting. There's a whole lot of biblical imagery into that, because when he screams to his friend in heaven, like, your mom forgave me, he's looking in the direction of the statue of Jesus on the cross. So that goes back to the opening the scene. Yeah, exactly.
But that whole section also at the end, what I thought was interesting is that a lot of people, including him, people defending him, keep saying, oh, he didn't know what he was doing.
Right.
I didn't know what I was doing. He says that a lot. The sister says that.
The mother says it at the end.
Yes. The girlfriend says it when she's pleading for him to be saved, like he didn't know what he was doing. That's interesting. Did he not know what he was doing?
I feel like maybe the wording is a bit... I don't think that he wouldn't know what he was doing literally.
What they meant is he wasn't aware of the consequences this could have. But even that, I kind of doubt it. You were in this organization. You were...
Like, you know what this war is about.
Exactly.
You know what's happening. You know that people die.
And does that, lower his culpability in any way, that even if he didn't know, if he was like, oh, I thought they would just arrest him and bring him to jail, or is that any
better?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it more okay that your friend is in jail rather than dead? Yeah, obviously.
I mean, of course it's better in the sense that he wouldn't be dead, but from the action,
for yourself, for what you did is yeah, exactly. I think that at least from the character's point of view, I don't know exactly what the other characters around mean when they say he didn't know what he was doing, but the main character, like Jipo himself, I feel like it goes back to like his descent into that desperation, like he was so narrow-minded at that point, focused on only this that's I have to get out of here, that I don't know how am I gonna get out of here, everybody's against me, I'm all alone, stuff like this. That's where his words, I didn't know what I was doing, would come from, like I didn't think outside of
all I thought about was I need £20 and they'll give me £20 if I give them that information.
Exactly.
I wasn't aware of what I was doing.
Exactly. So I feel like it's more in that sense rather than I didn't know what would happen to him.
But that's the thing that I found interesting, is I don't think anybody really thinks he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
So what I'm looking for is what exactly is the meaning behind these words that everybody keeps saying, because
it could be that for everyone it means something else. Like I feel like for the mother it would be more like you didn't actually mean to kill him, to get him killed. So you didn't know that this would happen. You know? That's how I interpret it. But yeah, obviously it can have different interpretations.
But the girlfriend definitely kept saying it, he didn't know what he was doing it for me. That sounds like someone who knew what he was doing, like that sounds primitive. That sounds like he thought about a plan and then you acted upon it. It's interesting. It goes back to that old adage. It's not really an adage, it's just the law. Like, no one is... ignorance of the law is not a defense.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
And so, ignorance of what one of the outcome of you doing something bad could be is not a defense.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I didn't think he would die.
That doesn't mean that what you did is any like, more justifiable. True. So, I guess that is about everything that I wanted to touch on. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about? No, I think we touched on pretty much everything. So then let us move on to the ranking section of this review. So, the ranking of the 1935 Academy Awards Best Picture nominated movies as of now is: at number 3, Alice Adams, at number 2, Ruggles of Red Gap, and at number 1, Captain Blood. So right now we have the movie The Informer. Where would you put this movie?
Before that, I've got to say, we're having interesting kind of genre-defining or even more unique movies this year. Like, I think of Captain Blood, pretty genre-defining. We were talking about it earlier in the last review. And then this movie, a unique movie. And then I feel like even the other ones, Ruggles, kind of, brought a certain...
Like an interesting theme, subject. Right, yeah. Yeah, it's true. So far, great movies this year.
So yeah, where would I put this? I mean, I guess we're going to put it at number 1.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I feel like this is such a well-done movie. Altogether, story-wise, like it has a flow, the whole movie. it's so good.
Yeah, I was trying to think of like, oh, Captain Blood, like what, like how to compare them. Really hard to compare these two movies, but like if I just take them at face value, like what this movie tries to do versus what, and how it achieves it versus what Captain Blood's try to do and how he achieves it without comparing the two of them, I feel like this movie
just reached his goal.
Exactly, and
spot on.
Masterpiece of storytelling using different, like we talked about during this whole video, method of storytelling through the music, through the scenery, through the characters' facial expressions. Really well made movie.
Yeah, I agree. I would put it at number 1, definitely. So the new ranking of the 1935 Best Picture Academy Awards nominees as of now is at number 4, Alice Adams, at number 3, Ruggles of Red Gap, at number 2, Captain Blood, and at number 1, The Informer. Ta-da! There you have it! That being said, that was it for our review of the 1935 movie The Informer. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're interested in following us throughout our adventures, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, which also, don't forget, is not just about reviewing movies, it's a bucket list channel in which we try to accomplish the goals and dreams that are on our bucket list. So different, so varied. They include things like traveling, cooking, learning new skills, self-growth, and we make videos about all of them and bring them all to you. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Also, don't forget to ring the notification bell so that you get notified next time when we drop a new video. Once again, thank you so much for watching and have a nice day.
Bye.
Hey, wait a minute. Hey, Dick, head out, you fool. Suppose you tell us what you did with your time from 6 o'clock this evening until Mulholland picked you up at 1. What's it to do with you otherwise? Don't you feel like telling us what you did after meeting Frankie McPhillip at the Dunboy house at 6 o'clock or thereabouts? It's a lie!